Since time began, we found ways to settle our differences.
This town ain't big enough for the both of us.
What?
You heard.
Looks pretty darn spacious to me. There ain't nothing but space.
But today, we don't shoot it out, we bet it out.
Great draw, great jockey. Come on, man. This one shoots out the gate.
Bet it out with Betcha. R18, bet responsibly.
George Lockhart, welcome to my podcast.
Man, it's an honor to be here, brother. Finally.
I really appreciate it. First of all, who is George Lockhart and what do you do?
I'm a combat sports nutritionist, strength and conditioning coach. For just about anybody, any champion that you know, I'll probably work with them, either in boxing or MMA.
I'm so excited to get into this chat because, yeah, you name it, you've worked with them, like Connor, Tyson, Tommy.
Yeah.
And you're here in New Zealand, based here at the moment, working with Joseph.
Yes, sir. Working with Joseph Parker. We've been working together for the last year, and we've kind of hit our stride and really taken off in that year, so things are good.
Yeah, what have you done? What have you done with Joseph?
It's funny. To me, it's the most basic stuff, but it's, I worked, anybody that knows me, has followed me in the past, knows that, I'm the MMA guy. I started off in MMA, worked with all the MMA fighters. And it's because MMA is a very new sport. It's a very young sport. So, I wanted to bring my expertise into a young sport and thinking that boxing, I'm like, boxing's been around forever. They know what to do, how to do it. And then I started, one of the first boxers I worked with was Badu Jack. And worked with him, and he was like, hey, man, you think you can help some of my buddies on the undercard? And I went to them, and they were doing weight cuts, and they were doing nutrition, and it was like, I'm like, wow, you guys are worse than any other sport that I've ever seen in my life. Like, it's so primitive, it's so old school boxing, like nobody really tracks anything. Came into boxing, and found out Joe was the worst of them. Joe was like, I'm like, wait, you're a world champion, man. So what we've been doing is basically the last year we created a baseline, and now this year we're about to really take off, like really hit our stride and everything else. But we built the most basic fundamentals: strength, conditioning, mobility, aerobic capacity. He didn't have any of those when we started, and he won on sheer boxing IQ and tenacity. So
That sounds really insulting when you say that.
Bro, I mean that as a compliment. Like, bro, you're so good that you didn't have any of the fundamental freaking things that you need. The base, you won because you're so tough, and also he's so knowledgeable about boxing. His boxing IQ is on point. And I told him last year, I'm like, dude, we start working together and you get these fundamentals, you get that base, I'm like, you're going to be unstoppable. Nobody's going to be able to touch him.
So how did you guys connect? Did you meet him in Morecambe?
Yeah, we worked, so I was working with Tyson Fury.
Yes.
He came in with a Dillian White fight. We had met the second Wilder fight in Vegas. We clicked, super nice guy. I mean, who doesn't like Joe? But we first worked together in Tyson's camp with Dillian White, and he just wanted to see, he's like, I can't try this. I've never had anybody cook food for me and stuff like that. It was more personalized for Tyson. He'd eat the food, and he's like, I'm losing weight and feeling good, stuff like that. It wasn't until the Django fight that he's like, hey, man, can I bring you in? I just got done working with Tommy, brought me into Morecambe, and then that's when we really started doing stuff together.
And so how long are you in New Zealand for?
Till Joe leaves, which I think we're here till August.
Right.
Yeah, we're to August.
And you've been here for months.
Yes, April. Got here in April.
So that's a massive call.
Yeah.
Like you upping roots and moving to New Zealand for that length of time.
Yeah, absolutely. No, but it feels like family here. Joe, besides just Joe, Pawasa, John, his brother, his wife, his little girls. I feel like it's a second family out here. So it's not like I'm homesick or anything like that. It's nice out here.
So what does a day look like?
It's funny. We always talk about this. When people see fighters, it's like the sexy, your glamorous life. It's basically cook, clean, grocery shop, go to the gym, come back, cook, clean, grocery shop, every single day, 7 days a week. But I love it. It's awesome, seeing these things, because at the end of the day, you'll do this for 4 months at a time, and then all people see is the 12 rounds, you know what I mean? Or, it could be with Joe coming up with upcoming fights, could be a couple rounds. But they're like, wow, man, he made that much money in 2 rounds. They don't see the months and months that it took. But it's, the one thing, it's simplicity and consistency. Every single day we make these small strides. So it's repetitive, but consistency and simplicity. So that is a general day for me. Cook, clean, grocery shop, and gym.
Because I follow you on Instagram and I follow Joseph on Instagram. There is a lot of gym time.
Yeah.
So at this part of the training cycle for Joseph, is he mainly doing weights, strength and conditioning?
Yeah, so he's bulking up right now, So it's funny. He was so shocked. Like, he's like, "Oh, there's phases and stuff." I'm like, "Yeah," yeah, I know. I'm like, "What? Like, how is that even a question, man?" But it's like, it's like people, they keep doing the same thing over and over and over again. In boxing, that is about everybody I've seen and worked with. They have no rhyme or reason. They do it because it's always been done before. And I'm like, "Why are you doing this?" Right now, he's in a phase where we're building. Like, being bigger doesn't necessarily mean better. If Joe gets bigger but his conditioning goes down, it's not really beneficial. You have to weigh things to gain a little bit of muscle. You have to make sure that the conditioning and mobility stays. Then it's an advantage. If your conditioning goes up with it and your mobility stays up with it and your strength goes up, then it's an advantage, but only then. So right now we take strength and building muscle is it takes the longest. If I ask you, how long do you think a bodybuilder, like a professional bodybuilder, on all the gear in the world, every steroid known to man, how much weight do you think much muscle do you think they put on per year?
I've got no idea.
Take a guess.
5 kilos?
They'd be 5 pounds.
5 pounds, so like 2.5 kilos.
In a year.
Right.
That's
wow.
with every steroid known to man, and this is all they're focused on.
Yeah.
So when people are like, "Oh yeah, I packed on 20 pounds," like, you probably packed on, it's water weight, it's fat, it's also, and a little bit of minuscule amount of muscle. I started working with Joe, and it's like so precise, like the food he eats, what time he goes to sleep, the eating, the lifting. And the thing is that he's lifting for the first time in his life, for real now. So now he is packing on that muscle. He's packed on about, I think, 10 to 12 pounds in the past year, which is, I'm telling you, it's astronomical. It's insane.
Yeah.
And we're trying to get him to 124 kilos by the time we leave here.
What is he now?
He's 118.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jeez, and he's looking like he's just looking better than what he's ever looked before. Yeah. Early in his career, he was nicknamed the King of Pies, and he was even sponsored by like a place called Burger King. He had Burger King on.
Bro, the stories I hear from this, I didn't know all this stuff. And he's like, "Uso, like before one fight, we had a Whopper eating competition. Like it's funny, but it also hurts my soul. Like I'm like, before a fight, I'm like, oh man, I'm like, you're that good. I'm like, it's so crazy." But yeah, and you look at old pictures, like when he fought Joe Joyce, his face was so puffy. He was like, and he weighed less than he does right now. So, he's definitely packed on muscle, and things are going good.
Okay, but I might ask a lot of dumb questions because I know nothing about it. I've never had a fight in my life. So someone like Anthony Joshua has always been in great shape, right, and looks ripped. And then there's Andy Ruiz or Tyson Fury who look terrible out of shape. So why does it matter?
Well, it's the question of what shape is. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you look in shape, like for someone to look aesthetically pleasing, it's not very hard. To get ripped up, cut up, it actually isn't hard at all. You don't actually have to lift. It all comes down to nutrition. But to increase aerobic capacity, power, strength, mobility, all these things, you can't actually look at somebody and tell that. You look at Tyson, you would not think that guy was quote unquote in shape because you're looking for a six pack, you're looking for big muscles. But his aerobic capacity is absolutely insane. And if your aerobic capacity means that you can recover, every time there's an exchange with a boxer in a fight, your heart rate goes up, right? Now, when you guys separate, if we're up here and my heart rate can go down to here and yours goes down to here, every time there's an exchange, we do this, and then it's like there comes a point where this guy's eventually going to break because you have that ability to recover faster than him. Now, if you have somebody like Wilder, he has got connectivity, right? He's got super... It's not that he's super powerful, but if you look, the connectivity means the punch goes from the bottom of his foot to the end of his hand. He's able to knock people out. Is it because he's super strong? Absolutely not. The guy can't lift very much. Is it because he's so big? Absolutely not. It's because of connectivity. You take all these pieces, and then that's what's going to create actual fitness or a complete boxer. And I think a lot of people, they look at Anthony Joshua and they look at, oh, he's got a lot of muscle and stuff like that. And I think Anthony Joshua actually gets a lot of confidence from that, and I think he puts a little bit too much confidence in that because there's a lot of times where muscle consumes oxygen more than anything else. Right. And if you have this extra muscle and it's not helping me punch faster, harder, and more consistently, then it's just extra and it's different looks.
Fuck, you're a genius at this stuff, aren't you?
No.
No, seriously. So knowledgeable. So, okay, so an average day for Joseph. And so you control everything he eats?
Everything.
Damn.
Yeah. Everything he eats, every training session, sleep schedule, everything.
So you're not there for mealtime, though? Like you just give him like a diet plan or?
No. I cook every single meal that, so usually like we live together, but, like this is such a long stint. He actually got me an apartment, which is awesome, man. It's nice, kind of gives me and my girl, we get a little free space and stuff like that, but we go to the gym every morning, so I'll just basically set his breakfast first thing in the morning. We meet at the gym. I'll give his next lunch and snack, and then we meet in the gym again for the night workout, and then I give his dinner and his nightly snack there. So, we got a pretty good schedule. Goes back to sleep, and then we do it all over again.
If you're not living in his house, how do you know he's sticking to it?
No, I will tell you this. I've been doing this long enough, man. It's funny. I know Joe doesn't cheat, and I know if Joe cheats, he tells me. He's got this but I've been doing this so long. I've worked with so many fighters, and it's funny because it's mathematical. It's things that are impossible. People are like, I went to bed at 115 kilos and I woke up at 117. I'm like, it's scientifically impossible to gain weight while you sleep. And they'll be like, well, I don't know what happened. I'm like, you ate something. I know that, So the numbers don't lie. I'll know something is up. And if something doesn't add up, it's usually a sign that maybe he's getting sick or something like that. And that's usually what we pull out. But that's, I monitor so many things from his heart rate, his HRV, his sleep, his weight first thing in the morning, right before he goes to bed. So we know something is happening before it becomes an actual issue. You know what I mean? So, right when he starts, let's say maybe be getting sick, we just cut back on actual working out and prevent.
And does he have like a cheat day or a cheat meal or anything? Is that such a thing or no?
Well, I guess, how do you put this? He's a Lamborghini, and I always tell people, everyone's like, can I get a cheat meal? I cheat this. It's like, let's say you have a Lamborghini, right? He's a Lamborghini, and your Lamborghini's driving beautifully, right? And you're like, you know what? You've been doing so good. I'm going to put some shitty fuel in your system, right? Does that make any sense?
Yeah, 100%.
Right? But, at the end of the day, he, sugar craves sugar. He eats sugar. He'll have, dark chocolate at night. It actually helps him sleep. Manuka honey and stuff like that. His night snack would be a cheat for a lot of people, but he loves sushi, and it's time and place for everything. He'll have sushi on Sundays, and that's his loading day, especially now that he's gaining weight. But he never, he'll never get cake or pizza or anything like that. And honestly, I don't think he ever craves it.
Right. So what does an average day look like? I know no two meals are the same, but say an average breakfast, lunch, dinner.
Yeah, no, honestly, his breakfast is almost consistent. I need consistency, especially when gaining. Because if you have different meals, you don't know what's working, you don't know what isn't. So, we'll start off with 4 potatoes. So, morning, this is almost what you'll have 4 potatoes, half of a black pudding. You'll have 4 eggs, 2 chicken rashers, and then you'll have a whole package of minced chicken, a whole package. Put that all together, that's his breakfast. If he's not gaining any more weight, guess what you do? You'll add a potato, you add more chicken, but you know exactly what you need to do, but you're not adding too much, We did shotgun it the first time where I'm like, let's just give him as much food as possible. But now it's pretty, pretty much the same. It's just different, I guess, flavorings. For lunch, we'll have a half a cup of rice, and it's what do we flavor it with? We're going to do bell peppers, jalapenos. We're going to make this more spicy, or we're going to do it more coleslaw and stuff like that. But I cook everything in a bone broth, so it helps his digestive tract. Everything, everything moves fluently. And then the meats I keep with pork, chicken, and then he'll have, he actually has a lot of red meat right now. He'll have less red meat as we change phases once he starts training camp, because it takes a little bit longer to digest.
Right, so you're like a chef as well.
I wouldn't say I was a chef. Yeah, no. Anybody, I don't want to put any chef down because that's disrespectful to chefs. Call me a chef. I'm a cook. I've been cooking for a long time. I could definitely throw down when it comes to cooking. You know what I mean? I make good meals. People, you want to enjoy your food. That's one of the things I never thought in a million years that I would. If you would have told me 10 years ago, you're going to be cooking, or actually, no, God, I've been doing it for 10 years now. If you would have told me when I was in the Marine Corps that I'd be cooking and loving it, I would have been like, you're crazy. But I love it. It's therapeutic, and there's so many ways to cook a chicken. I never know.
So, and does it pay well? It's a big commitment from your part, moving to New Zealand for half a year.
Yes, it definitely does pay well. Yeah, And it's, you know, like,
Is he paying you in US dollars or New Zealand dollars?
is there a difference? Like, no.
Oh, there's a big difference.
Dang it! I thought I was making it. I will tell you, I'm starting to wonder how anybody out here lives. I'm like, wait a minute, I'm like, this is a lot of money, and then you're like, whoa, this is only worth half. Like, but then you go to the store and it's like a cucumber is $7, and I'm like, $7 for a cucumber? Like in America, it's like 40 cents. You know, so I'm like, what's going on? Everybody tells me because you got to ship everything out, but I'm learning a lot. I love this. I love this country, but I'm like, wow, it leaves me with a lot of questions.
Yeah, and I read somewhere that you said you plan to work with him till the end of his career.
Yeah.
So this sounds like more of a friendship or a bromance.
Yeah. Oh, bro. Yeah, he's my best friend.
Really?
He's my best friend. Is it more than that? Like, how to put this? When you're close to somebody, you can be like, oh, you're going to be the best in the world, stuff like that. Like, when I told him that, like, I meant that. Like, it's not like I'm giving him BS or blowing smoke. Like, I told him, you know, he's believing now. Like, he believes. And that's the dangerous part. You know what I'm saying? Like, Joe's always been this humble guy. He's such a nice guy and stuff like that. And to be humble, you have to be that good. You know, like, if you suck at boxing and you're like, I'm all right. You're not humble. You're just all right. Joe's humble. You know, he's genuinely humble. But we talk now, and he's like, dude, I can beat anybody, and I can beat everybody, and he knows it, and he knows it's coming. We share that, we share commonality, we share the same goals, you know, and we definitely have a friendship because, I mean, we spend more time together than our actual families, and he spends with his wife more than I spend with my son, you know what I mean? And you better like the person you're working with if you're going to do it that long.
And okay, so you've worked closely with Tyson Fury, and that's how you met Joe.
Yeah.
If those two were fighting, where would you be?
Where would I would be with Joe. I would 100% be with Joe.
It's slightly awkward.
No, not at all. No, I mean, I think Tyson, he went a different route. This last fight, he didn't work with me, and he lost a lot of weight and stuff like that, and I think. You got to click with the person that you're working with. You know what I mean? Like as a coach, I really feel like some coaches. I don't know if you've ever heard of Tim Crater or Dustin Poirier. Dustin Poirier is really big in the MMA world. Tim Crater was a really good friend of mine. He was a former coach of his. Dustin Poirier was beating everybody in the UFC, and his coach. I've never seen this before. His coach was like, "I've literally taught you everything that I possibly can." And he was in Louisiana. He's like, "You need to go to a bigger gym." And that's going to lose him a lot of money as a coach. But he wanted him to go to a bigger gym, and he did. He went to ATT in Florida. But I was like, man, that's what a real coach is. You know, people that are, like, mad because they go somewhere else. If somebody does better and they increase better with somebody else, I want them to go with that. They feel better, more confident with that individual. And I think Tyson did that. And, you know, there was a huge transformation. You know, you look at his physique and stuff like that. But in terms of, like, in the kind of awkward, definitely. But if there's a question of who I'd be with, there wouldn't be a single question. I'd be with Joe.
Unreal. And he can be the best in the world?
Can be? No, he is the best in the world. That 100%. Like I'm telling you right now. Like I'm telling you guys, everybody's gonna look back. Like when they said the Wilder fight, I was like, wait for it. Zhang fight, wait for it. But I told everybody the Django fight. That was the first time we worked together. You know, he had the fastest knockout. We worked together for 6 weeks, and the transformation that he had in that 6 weeks was incredible. And it's just like all the stars aligned. You know how we started working strength and conditioning together?
Yeah.
So I was doing nutrition for him, and Andy Lee and them, they were in the gym. So I'm like, you guys are going to the gym, so I'll just go to the gym. So I'm lifting, and they walk in, and they're kind of like, what do you want to do? I'm like sitting there like, no way. Like, there's no real, like, there was no structure, there was no planning. I'm like, what the? I was dying. And he's like, well, have George put us through and stuff like that. And then I think it's a lot different than I expected. I'm like, this is going to last this amount of time, like everything is structured, what you're supposed to do each and every day, the kind of growth that you're going after every single day. Because, like I always tell people, you're born, you only have so many buckets a week of energy, right? As an athlete, if I waste one of those buckets on doing some needless activity, you know what I mean? If I'm doing a needless activity, I'm wasting that energy. And boxers will be like, oh, let's go for a run. Like, why? Why are you running? Oh, let's pick up weights and just do this for 3 minutes. Why are you doing that? You know what I mean? Everything's got to have a purpose. Everything's got to have a reason and a meaning. And I took over strength and conditioning, and they were like, holy crap. Like, I started teaching them, you know, like, first ask why, you know, and I'm like, well, how's that going to help you box better? And he would kind of be like, I don't know. You know, and then he started learning how to do certain things like core strength and stuff like that. Started teaching about connectivity, talk to him about aerobic capacity and all these things. And he's starting to notice it. And Andy started noticing this huge difference. Like, wow, his heart rate. Like, Andy at first was kind of, but then we'd come back in the corner and be like, how's his heart rate? Like, we're seeing how much it drops between each round every 60 seconds. Is it going down to where we want it to go? And if it's not, why not? You know, is his muscular endurance off? Like, you know, what is it that's causing so many things? But, it was all by chance. And then next thing you know, after the Django fight, we just started doing everything together. Strength conditioning, nutrition, everything.
It's amazing because a couple of years ago, like all the sports journalists here in New Zealand were like, "Oh, Joseph should retire. Like it's one fight too many." Yeah. He was done.
I didn't know that until he told me that. Because I'm in boxing, but I don't follow the sport. Like MMA, I never followed the sport. Like Triple G, you know Triple G, right? Okay, so he called me. They called me one day, and I called my business partner. I'm like, "Hey, man, have you ever heard of Triple G?" And he's like, "Are you kidding me, man?" He's like, "Triple G." I was like, "Yeah." So we were working with him, but I had no idea who he was. I love what I do, but I'm not like watching boxing matches. My job is to make you the best boxer you can, but I don't know like all these boxers, so on and so forth. But yeah, no, that was I forgot I was going with that. But what was your question?
Oh, just about how the media over here were basically saying he was fucked a couple of years ago.
Oh yeah. So and then when he told me, he's like, Uso. He's like, after the Joyce fight, they were like, you should retire.
Yeah.
And I was like, I had no idea. Like, I was like, after seeing you, the growth stuff like that, I would have thought everybody's like, this guy's up and coming, da-da-da-da. He's like, no, Uso, they wanted me to retire. They said I should retire. And, a couple of fights. And it was funny, after Django, he beat Django, and he's like, he's getting this confidence back. He's like, dude, we have something going on here. And then he couldn't find a fight. And I told him, I'm like, listen, the call always comes. The problem is that people aren't ready when the call comes. You know what I mean? Andy Ruiz, like, he was training for another fight when he had that call. That call he got from Joshua came at the right time. He was ready for it. And I told him, listen, we just got to be ready. And then next thing you know, Saudi calls. He fights Keem, knocks him out in the third. And then next thing you know, it's Wilder. And I told him, I'm like, bro, it's going to go like this, and then it's going to take off. And it's like, you just better be the right person when it happens. And he is, and he's still doing everything he needs to be doing. I don't think other fighters are doing what they're supposed to be doing. He's not staying stagnant. He's growing.
I said when I mentioned on Instagram you were coming in for a chat, and did anyone have any questions? I did get one from Joseph Parker.
Oh no!
Who has a stronger core, you or Joseph Parker?
I hate him. I hate him so much.
What's the joke?
Well. We started off we started off. He was super. Let's say he wasn't the strongest guy in the world. Like he blew my mind. Like I would laugh sometimes because I thought he was messing with me. Joe likes to joke around. I thought he was messing with me, and then I'm like, oh no, he's not joking. He's serious. Like he can't do this specific exercise. So I had a lot. My core was a lot stronger. Now he blows me out of the water in terms of core. Like his strength is 10 times. And I have a really strong core, in my opinion, and I think he likes kind of rubbing it in. But as a coach, I'm actually proud. I'm like, you know what? That's a good thing. So yeah.
Yeah, I can tell you're proud. You can see, just this twinkle in your eye when you talk about him.
Yeah.
It's a great relationship, and on behalf of New Zealand, thank you for what you've done to re-energize his career.
Oh no, man.
Yeah,
it's a blessing.
Let's talk more about some of the George Lockhart stuff. So before you got into this, in your previous life, you were a Marine.
Yes, sir.
For like 10 years.
Yes, sir.
What exactly is a Marine, and what's the training involved? Is it similar to Navy SEALs? No.
Well, it depends on what you do. So the Marine Corps would be the most specialized out of all the branches. So you have the Navy, Coast Guard, Air Force, Army. The Marine Corps is the smallest. They have the longest boot camp. They are revered as basically the most, I would say, militant of the branches. I was a recon Marine. So a recon Marine would literally be, you'd equate to a Navy SEAL. You have to go through a screening. You got to go through the pipeline, like jump school, SEER school, RNS, RIP course, stuff like that. So I got to go to a million different schools. I went through, basic digital network analysis school, Morse code school, jump school, SEER school. I went through I felt like I was a professional student. So for 6 years, I was a recon Marine, and the last 4 years, I was a combatives instructor. So I taught people how to fight with weapons and stuff like that in the Marine Corps. It was a great job. You get to get paid to fight people, which is a great job, you know.
So to be a Marine, you got to be tough and smart.
No. They're definitely not smart. That's why I joined the Marine Corps. No, if you join, you're probably not the smartest, you know. But they call us crayon eaters for a reason. Like literally, that's
Call you what eaters?
Crayon eaters.
Crane eaters.
Crayon, like crayons, like the stuff kids.
Crayons.
Crayons. We're meatheads.
Oh, that's terrible. Yeah, I did some Googling about it this morning, and it said in basic training you learn to walk and talk like a Marine. What does that mean?
Well, so when you go into the Marine Corps, they break down you as an individual. They teach you how to brush your teeth. They teach you how to wash your face. Like you can't do anything. You can't even use the head or the restroom without permission. They teach you how to use the head, how to do everything. So basically, they treat you like an invalid. You know, break everything down so they can build you up again. You know, and they do. You know, and it's a great feeling. You know, nothing. More pride than becoming a United States Marine. It's an amazing feeling. You know, you accomplish something, and then you're part of a brotherhood that, you know, it lasts a lifetime. If I walk into a room and someone's like, "Hey, so and so is a Marine," we automatically click. You know, my dad was a Marine too, so you know, it's
like a special club.
Oh yeah, 100%.
You know, a lot of New Zealanders probably don't understand because we don't have the same sort of pride in our armed forces here. But yeah, when you travel domestically in the States, if there's a military person, they get to board the plane first. There's a real sort of prestige with it, right?
Yeah. We're in a great part of the country that you know, time in our country. It's not always the case, but right now, you know, if you're in the military, everybody's like, "Thank you for your service," stuff like that. It's definitely a lot of people take a pride in the military. It's a great thing, a great time. Fortunately, it wasn't the same with my dad. My dad was in Vietnam, and it was the total opposite.
Right.
Oh, it's crazy. It's a fad. I think it goes up and down at times.
And you went to combat zones, eh? Where did you go?
I was in Fallujah in 2004, 5 and 6. So it was a good time.
Was it a good time? What are your experiences or recollections of that? Do you talk about it or not really?
No, I mean, I talk about it. You know, like a lot of people will be like, "Oh, you know, so and so saw this," and they don't really talk about it. It's like one of those things, like Joe, like me and Joe will talk fighting and stuff like that because I've fought before, he's fought before, and it's fun to talk to people about stuff that you guys can correlate with. You know, it's not that like I don't talk to people about stuff like, "Oh, it was just so tragic," and I can't, you know, like I just can't comprehend it. I just, you know, no, it's not that. It's just like, why would I bring that up to you? You know what I'm saying? Like that'd be the most awkward conversation in the world. You're like, okay, I can't really relate to that, or maybe you can. You know, if there was a circumstance or instance that I would bring it up where it would correlate with you, I wouldn't have any qualms with that.
Yeah.
You know, but it's not one of those things you bring up at a dinner party. Like, there's one time I saw this guy blown. You know what I mean? Like, it's not really the.
Yeah, but did you? You see some horrible things?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, like.
Were you shot at?
Yes, shot at, blown up. Yeah.
Why is he laughing about it? Like it's a dumb question.
No, I mean, yeah, like it's definitely. Yeah. If you read, I mean, Fallujah was like a hot spot. If you read about Fallujah, yeah, it's definitely. Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, we shot at, blown up. You know, if you look at all my the guys that they bring to the MACE, the Martial Arts Center of Excellence, guys with they Marine Corps handpicks them. You know, a lot of it with martial arts backgrounds, and then obviously combat experience. They want these guys to be able to teach Marines basically from their combat experience. I was handpicked from the Marine Corps, and it was a great experience, and you know, being able to teach and you know use what I learned to help others. You know, kind of stay out of situations and.
Yeah. Did you take any lives? Well, you don't answer that, or
no, I didn't.
No.
No.
What about you said in the training they like break you down to make you fit in so you're no longer an individual. When you leave after 10 years, do you have to like reverse that? Like how do you go back to being a normal civilian again?
Oh man, it's definitely it's a transition. There's a lot of people have a very hard time. Marines have a very difficult time. Because the Marine Corps, how do I put this? Like as a Marine, you're designed for one thing. You know what I mean? Like you're there to protect the country, but like how do you protect the country? You know what I'm saying? Like when you get down to nuts and bolts, you go to a boot camp. They're teaching you the inoculation to violence, to kill somebody or you know not get killed. And they don't want you to think about anything else. When I was in the Marine Corps, guess what I had to worry about? I didn't have to worry about medical expenses. I didn't worry about dental, life insurance. I didn't worry about taxes. I didn't worry about nothing. They take care of everything. They'd be like, Lockhart, you need your taxes done. Roger that. Here's your. So you bring like a folder, and then you go to the accounting place in the base. They freaking do your taxes, but you don't have to worry about anything. And then you get out into the civilian world, and it's like you don't get medical, dental. Like you're like, I gotta get all this stuff myself. Like nobody's teaching me how to do this. Like I gotta figure out. Like you feel like a child. You know what I mean? And then you get out, and you're like, they're like, what? Well, what can you do? And I'm like, I could beat people up very good. You know what I mean? You know? They're like, what? Like, yeah, it's not. It's a transition, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, the specialties, what makes you a really good Marine. But on a side note, the Marine Corps teaches you leadership skills, and they teach you what I always call the suck factor. You don't, what a lot of people, when they feel things are bad, you know, in the Marine Corps, it's like, you don't know what bad is, you know what I mean? And it's like you're able to drive through and accomplish a lot. And a lot of CEOs of the Fortune 500 company are former Marines, you know. They're very successful, but you can go one way or the other, you know, and I think a lot of that depends on the environment. I was lucky enough to transition, and fighting is the closest thing with the camaraderie that I had in the Marine Corps. Like being with Joe and stuff like that, it's like a common goal, but it's like I don't know, with combat sports, you still have that grit and you got that grind, but like there's nothing that humbles a man more than training for fighting. Like I will tell you this, you know, you see Joe, and you probably talk to a lot of fighters, and they're probably the most humble people, nicest people. And I always tell that because to get better at fighting, you got to get your butt kicked over and over and over again. And once you get your ass kicked over and over again, it makes you a humble person, you know? You realize, like, I'm not the baddest guy in the world. So, you know, when you walk around and everything like that, and you get everything out of your system every single day. So, you know.
Yeah. So your fighting career, so this was after the Marines, you became like an MMA?
No, I was during the Marine Corps.
Overlapped.
Oh, bro, yeah, it's a long story on that one.
Oh, yeah,
Oh, yeah, well, I got NJP twice. So, so NJP is basically like your guy, like going to court. You know what I'm saying? Like they sent me to court. Basically, I was a professional cage fighter before I joined the Marine Corps, and they were like, oh yeah, we're all about it. A recruiter's going to tell you anything that you want to hear. And I was like, awesome. I'm like, they're going to let me fight. So when I went to my first A school, they let me fight. Went to the second A school, let me fight. And then when I get to Camp Lejeune, they wouldn't allow me to fight. And I was like, wait, what? Like, I was like, I did a whole paper and stuff like that, went to my commanding officer and, showed the safety of actual MMA. I'm like, look, this and this, like a ref, protects. And he's like, I'm not worried about you getting hurt. He's like, I'm worried about you losing. He's like, how does that make the Marine Corps look if you lose? And I was like, what? So you know what I did? I called my manager, I booked a flight, and I left. So I left, I came back, and basically they demoted me. So I was a corporal, they brought me down to the last corporal, and they're like, you ever do this again? We're kicking you out of the Marine Corps. And I was like, cool. So I booked a flight. I flew again. I fought a guy named Scott Harper, and it was for a title in Georgia. And I won the title, came back with the belt, and the Marine Corps Times got a hold of it and did an interview with my battalion commander, and they're like, we've been behind him 100%. We've supported, Lance Corporal Lockhart, da-da-da. And I was sitting there like, what? Like, I realized the politics of it. But, they were up and down, stuff like that. Once I went to the MACE, the Martial Arts Center of Excellence, they let me fight all the time. I actually won the AFL World Championship while I was in the Marine Corps. So it was an amazing experience getting to fight with weapons and Marines all day. And then, after I was done doing that all day, I'd go to Lloyd Irvin's in Baltimore and train MMA all night. And then that was basically my life.
Yeah. And what's that on your wrist? Is that a Marine souvenir? No, on the left wrist.
Oh, left. No, this right here. This is something me and my son have. My son's all about survival. This is just something that me and him share, but it's like a survivalist. Like this right here is flint. So like it's like a fire starter. Get some metal. There's a blade that got taken from me at the airport. That's supposed to be in there. You got your compass, you got a whistle, and then you got deck cord right here. So
right. Oh, that's nice. Oh, so
yeah,
you don't actually need it because you're in Auckland City, but
let me tell you something.
It's a reminder of your son.
If you need this, you're in a world of hurt. Like if I ever need it, if you ever see me in the wilderness with this, I'm like, oh God, we're gonna problems.
Oh, that's cute. How old are your kids? You got 3, right?
No, I got one.
One.
Yeah, 13-year-old. That's my son. Yeah, yeah. He's just turned 13. He's getting big. He's already taller than I am. So he's about 6 foot. So
Damn.
that's crazy.
Yeah, so your fighting career, so if I've got this right, 11 wins, 7 losses.
13 wins, 7 losses.
13 wins, 7 losses. Yeah. When you reflect on your MMA career, what do you think? Like from the position you're in now and all the knowledge you've gathered since then, what would you do differently?
Nothing at all. It's funny in life, like you don't realize what working hard for something is going to translate into. That's why it's like, always give 100% in everything that you do, even if it's, like, I don't see where this is going to go. It's not necessarily that particular thing is going to take you where you want to go, but it's going to give you the knowledge that'll take you somewhere else. And it's like, I trained so hard. Like I was a grinder when I was fighting, stuff like that. I didn't have the talent, and also like I didn't train correctly. I just wanted to spar all the time. And now that I see these guys, like I'm like screw it, drilling. Like it's like the guys that are good, they drill over and over. Like in MMA, they drill over and over and over again. They're not trying to beat each other's brains in and stuff like that. They're very smart people. Connor, Tyson, Joe, like all these guys, like people, they have this stigma that fighters aren't intelligent. To be a good fighter, you have to be so intelligent. You have to see things, see angles, and you have to see them very quickly. But I didn't have those. I didn't have that, but it gave me the capability. Like I started off fighting at heavyweight, which in MMA, it's 225 pounds is where I started. I used to be about 250 pounds, and I'd cut down to 205. And then I ended up, my last, when I did the Ultimate Fighter, I was 170 pounds. So that's about 70 pounds lighter than what I'm at right now. So it's definitely a lot. Learning how to weight cut, never knew that would translate into what I did as a profession in MMA and help people do it more professionally. Yeah,
so this weight cutting thing, it's like a big part of your specialty skill set, I guess.
Yeah.
Knowing you were coming around here today, I even listened to a whole podcast you did with Joe Rogan talking all about it. So for anyone that doesn't know, what does it mean exactly? Like weight cutting?
Weight cutting. So like weight loss is something that's permanent, right? If you're like, hey, George, I want to lose 30 pounds. That's going to take some time, okay? Because you got to lose body fat. Weight cutting is the ability to drop weight very quickly, but being able to rehydrate and reload. So when you cut weight, it's not real. It's like it's not a real weight. So like, if I told you not to drink any water today and you weighed yourself tomorrow morning, did you lose 5 pounds? No, you just didn't drink water. Your body released that amount of water. So with these guys, like one guy particularly, like Drew Dober, he would lose 30 pounds in 3 days. And then we'd rehydrate him. He had a 24-hour process to rehydrate him so you go back there and fight again. But being able to do that in a proficient manner where, it's not something I would ever promote to anybody, but it's the name of the game. In MMA, weight, the advantage is so big. If I'm laying on you, if I'm on top of you and I'm 15, 20 pounds heavier than you, that's a huge advantage. Boxing is not so much. And it's funny because, like I told you, I'm used to guys dropping 25 pounds. They'll be like, oh, man, I'm good, man. I only got 20 pounds to lose, and you have like 2 days. And they're like calm as a Cuban cigar. I come into boxing, and the guys are like, dude, I have 5 pounds. Do you think I'm going to make it? And I'm like, and I'm trying not to laugh. I'm like, you're fine, bro. We're
we got those
5 pounds. I'm like, that's a burp, a hiccup, and a fart. You're thinking all that,
Yeah, because some of the stuff I heard about you, it seems like you're almost flowing in the week of a fight, like almost as an emergency guy to help people lose weight.
Yeah, so unfortunately.
What? Yeah, is it like worst case scenario sort of thing, last resort?
A lot
Get
of times.
George.
Yeah, like if I work with somebody for an entire camp, it's super smooth. It's simple. They make weight. But most of the time, like, it's last minute, like, man, we got 30 pounds. We don't know what we're doing. We need your help. It's rock and roll. So
what do you do? What do you do when you've got that much weight in that limited time frame?
Well, basically just
Is it just live in the sauna?
No, I'm telling you, it takes me 3 days. Like I do seminars, like I have certification for this. I'll talk for 10 hours a day for 2 to 3 days to tell you exactly how to do this. But to break it down in the simplest of terms, like I always tell people, your body doesn't have a brain. So like, your body doesn't understand that you can go to the store anytime that you want, right? If it knew that you can go to the store anytime you want, there would be no reason for your body to hold on to body fat if it knew that, right? All it has is negative feedback signals. Okay, I'm going to hold on to body fat for this specific reason, survival mechanism, right? So when you go out to the desert, right, if you go in the desert, the first thing that your body's going to feel is heat, right? What's the first response that your body's going to think? What do you need to do if it's hot outside? Sweat. Yeah. right? Why? Because that's a negative feedback signal. Like, oh, we can't overheat. Your body's all about survival. So if it's hot, you start sweating. Then what happens is a triage effect. Okay, what's going to kill me faster, dehydration or overheating? And then body realizes like, okay, we're cooling the body off, but there's no water coming back in. So basically there's systems like the vasopressin system, is called the RAS system, is a renin-angiotensin-aldosterone system. Basically we'll start pulling salt and water back into the body. So what my job is to do is override these systems, because you got to remember, your body is 65 to 70% water. It's not that your body doesn't have the water to drop. It's that your body, do you have the ability to get your body to let go of that water? And that's what my job is to do.
Right, but I've heard you talking about the importance of things like the sort of deodorant you use.
Yeah. Like that's not really overriding system. That's the most simplest thing in the world. So a deodorant, it's an antiperspirant, anti-sweat. So when you put antiperspirant on, you're not going to sweat. So when you get rid of water, where's it coming from? Sweat. So these guys are going to the sauna. Before they go in the sauna, they're putting deodorant on. You're like, what are you doing? You're like, you're making my job harder, bro.
Fuck, that's amazing. Where did your passion for nutrition start? Where did that begin?
When I was young, I was
Pre-Marines?
Yeah, oh yeah. I was morbidly obese growing up. So I was about 200 pounds when I was 12 years old. I was just a butterball, and didn't like the fact of that. So started learning about nutrition. Started experimenting on a million different things, and then by the time I was 14, 15, got into football, American football. Started playing sports, and then 16 started fighting, and then when you have to cut 10 pounds, 20 pounds, you learn nutrition very quickly, and you start seeing how it affects performance, how it affects how you feel, recovery. I loved it. And then the crazy thing is, as a fighter, it was all about me. And I never thought that watching somebody perform in there would be more of a, it'd mean more to me than me doing well in the ring. Like watching Joe kick ass and do what he does, it means more to me than anything, which, every time, we do something, I'm never content with, he'll say something like, oh, I'm sweating. And I'm like, why is he sweating extra? Why is he not sleeping this? And a lot of that, we found out, it has to do with his nutrition. So my ability, if he gets in there and he gets dropped because I didn't, do the best I could have done. You know what I mean? If I didn't give him everything that he needed, that weighs on me. You know what I'm saying? So, nutrition, seeing what it can do with people, it's, but my passion started when I was young.
Yeah. How did you get fat? Just poor diet? Or?
Oh, God, yeah. My family did.
You from an overweight family?
Oh, so I have an old-fashioned white father, and I got a Mexican mother, right? So what that means is that I have a father that's like, you better eat everything on your plate. And I have a Mexican mother that's like, mijo, you need more, and constantly put more on my plate, And it was like a very bad mixture. So I the amount of food that I can consume growing up is just it was ridiculous. And as a kid, you don't know anything, and my parents didn't really understand. But now that I do, it's definitely fun going back home.
Yeah, because how old are you? You're in great shape now, eh?
This is me out of shape. I jacked my back up a couple weeks ago, so I haven't lifted in a while. I haven't been to the gym for a bit, but I definitely like staying in the gym, training with Joe at times, stuff like that, competing with them, and starting to come to a point where there's not really a competition anymore, which I'm actually proud about. But I love it.
Yeah, so Joe's the latest of the many incredible fighters you've worked with. So you've worked with over 100 UFC fighters, 11 world champions.
Oh, I think even more than that, but yeah, we'll go. I mean, we probably got just that in boxing now.
Yeah, let's talk about some of these people, because I used to be a massive Ronda Rousey fan, and I remember getting really, really excited for the fight that she had with Holly Holm.
Yeah.
Where Ronda refused to touch gloves at the start. Ronda had a real game face on, right?
Yeah.
And then Holly Holm just annihilated her immediately. Yeah. And you were in Holly's corner.
Yeah, I was working with her. Well, I mean, I don't take any credit. Winklejohn, her head coach, he's probably an amazing guy. He's been with her since the beginning. But they were calling from Australia. They were, I was doing her nutrition for the weight cut and then her hydration. And it's funny, the girl's a gangster. The mixture that I had to give her, because they weren't selling certain things in Australia, it was disgusting. Because you got to remember, when you're hydrating, a lot of people don't realize, if you're cut 10, 15 pounds, the amount of sodium that you have to ingest it's not cool and it tastes horrible. And the stuff like we have stuff in America that'll actually help dilute a lot of that. They didn't have it in Australia. So she was drinking coffee with like 9,000 milligrams of sodium chloride. And I was like, oh, God. She's like, I don't care. Just tell me what I need to take. I was like, all right, girl. Like, I think there was one fight in Vegas that I was working with her. And it was like, she was in a bath, right? And one of the things after work out is like you lose, feeling in your extremities. That means that, the osmolality in your body is going too low, your blood pressure is dropping too much. So if you stand up, you're going to pass out. And that's a it's a common thing that happens, but something I'm trying to watch out for. And I was like, we're at 15 minutes. I'm like, all right, go ahead and get out. She's like, no, I said I was going to do 20 minutes. And I'm like sitting there like, this girl is going to pass out. But she's like, I said 20 minutes. I'm standing here 20 minutes. And I could tell she was dying, but you could tell she's going to be a world champion, and everybody knew she was going to win that fight. And she hydrated properly. She did nutrition properly. Wiggle John gave her the game plan, and she shocked the world, and there it was.
Yeah. And Ronda Rousey was never the same after that, eh?
No, never. No, I think she had this belief, and I think there was an aura about her. You know what I mean? Like, I think a lot of times the aura beats people. Like with Anderson Silva, people were beat before they got into the ring. And I'm, with Joe, I talk about like with Wilder. A lot of people, they were so. It's like if I tell you don't look at the ground, right? You're going to want to look at the ground, right?
Yeah.
So, like, what it's like, okay, don't get hit with the right, don't get hit with the right, don't get hit with the right. What are you looking at? You're like, that right hand, you know what I mean? And, like, it's like, don't concentrate on what he's doing. Concentrate on what you have to do, and then, like, everything will take care of itself, you know what I mean? But, working with all these champions, stuff like that, it's been fun.
Yeah, it must be. And Conor McGregor, so you worked with him you were working with him before his boxing fight with Floyd Mayweather?
Yeah.
Right.
That was interesting.
Yeah, that must have been just the juxtaposition between being a military man in the back of one of those shitty, noisy planes, flying everywhere in a private jet. Like, very, very different lifestyles.
Bro, it was crazy. Yeah, it was definitely insane for me. I'm not gonna lie. Like, we'd worked together on the Jose Aldo fall. This is the first time I ever worked with him. And, you knocked Jose Aldo in 13 seconds. We did the first cut, dude. He was like, there's no way I'm on weight. I'm like, step on the scale. Stepped on the scale. He's on weight. He gave me the biggest hug. And he's like, dude, I want you for, I think he wanted me for the rest of the career. Then we started doing the Mayweather thing. And, it went from being there the week of the fight to being there the entire camp. So he flew me out to Ireland. And then we're on a private jet. And I just remember, like, I've been on a lot of private jets now, which is really cool. But the jet that he had was nuts. Like, there was, like, smoked salmon everywhere, like, food everywhere. And I just remember, like, I'd eat some, and then they'd come and they'd refill it, and I'm sitting there like, how much can they eat? Like, how many times can they do this? Like, I was like, this is amazing. It was 13. I think we flew from Ireland to LA to Ontario. Oh, dude, so here's something I gotta tell you. So we're in Ontario. This will tell you how out of the public that, like, I just know. We're in Ontario, and they would help. They would. I've been used for security too because of my military background. So, like, I'm doing nutrition. They'll be like, hey, can you watch this? Or you do security. Like, I've been security for Tommy and stuff like that. And I see this guy walking in Canada, and I'm like, dude, nobody's stopping this dude. Like, I'm sitting there, like, I'm ready to, like, throw down. And then I see Connor get up, like, hey, like, and then I'm like, who is that? And they're like, that's Drake. And I'm like, who's Drake? Like, I had no idea who the fuck Drake was. And they're like, I still couldn't name one of his songs, but at least I know who Drake is now. You know what I mean? But that was like the Ontario story. It was.
You must be able to know. You surely he must know one Drake song, right? Hotline Bling. Started at the bottom, now we're here.
Started at the bottom. He sings that.
Yeah.
Started at the bottom, now we're here. Yeah. I know that song.
I feel like someone must have had that as a walk-in song.
Oh man, yeah.
So people must ask you this all the time. It's probably a lame question, but yeah, what's Connor like? What can you tell us about him?
Connor?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, I love Connor, man.
Yep. Is he a loose unit, or is he hardworking and disciplined?
No, he's hardworking.
Yep.
Definitely hardworking. He's goal-oriented, smart. He's very, very charismatic. He's actually a lot more humble than you would expect. I was working with him in New York, and it was hilarious. He's like, hey, George, what time's lunch? I told him, and he comes in like so humble. And then I'm literally cooking his lunch and watching him show up. I don't know if you've seen the press conference with him and Eddie Alvarez. Most humble guy. Then all of a sudden he shows up in this fur coat, like talking smack. And I'm like, what the heck? Like two completely different people.
Yeah, 'cause the Conor McGregor I think of as the guy that walks like almost with rubber arms.
Yeah,
Like, so he's not, when you're with him on his plane, he's not walking around like that.
No. But I will tell you that the guy's charismatic. It's like what you see is what he's not faking anything. He's just being himself to an extreme when he's on the camera. So, yeah, no, he's a fun. Like I said, he's a fun guy. You know what I mean? Like, I'm happy for him. He's done very well.
So yeah, I heard an interview where you were talking about this period of your life, and you didn't do like one grocery shop a day or a week. You were going to the grocery store before every meal. So you're going before breakfast, going before lunch, going before dinner. Why is that?
Yeah, I just wanted everything to be fresh. And at the end of the day, I was very new to this. You know, like I had done nutrition for a long time, but cooking, that was very new to me. So like when I was working with, one of the first fighters I worked with was a guy named Brian Stan. Me and him were actually in the Marine Corps together, and that's why I was helping him out. And basically, I'd like boil chicken, and like the food was horrible, you know. Like, and then the company, I started a company, and it started taking off, right? And we got a call. It was Lockhart and Leith. We got a call from Demi Lovato. She's like, I want someone to do nutrition, and my partner's like, bro, we can't give Demi Lovato boiled chicken. You know what I mean? Like, we got to learn how to cook. So then it was funny because he's working with Demi Lovato, and then I get a call like for Connor. And I'm like, oh, crap, I got to learn how to cook, you know? And that's basically how we started learning. And so I'd go in, and like now I know exactly, you know, Joe always we go to the grocery store. He's like, how do you know exactly what to buy, how much to buy for specific amounts of time? And it's like, dude, it's taking so long. I used to buy like a refrigerator full of food because I had no idea. And then when I'd be done cooking, it'd be like a little meal like this, but the kitchen would be just wrecked. You'd see food everywhere, like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. But, you know, it was a learning process. And then we actually, you know, as Lockhart and Leith grew, we hired chefs and stuff like that and started teaching people not only the nutrition aspect, but, you know, actually how to cook food and prepare food the proper way. So, you know, it's been a learning process, but, you know, I don't actually have to do that anymore. I'll go shopping like, you know, every other day now, you know, a lot simpler.
Yeah, so you by the way, you're dropping the fucking coolest names in the story ever.
Oh.
Like just dropping Demi Lovato like it's nothing. So when a celebrity like her calls you, like what's her goal? What does she want? Is it to lose weight? Is it just to be healthier, feel better? What is it?
Yeah, you know, at the time, her life coach is the one that called, you know, and she worked with my former business partner, Dan Leith, for a year. You know, I was out there for 2 weeks, and I was like, this ain't for me, man. Like, I'm not Hollywood.
What do you mean?
With me, what you see is what you get. I'm old school. Like, you know, you listen to my voice. Like, if you go to, like, could you imagine me in like a Hollywood scene, like nice dressed up, like, you know, it just doesn't fit. Like, I don't fit. You know what I mean? My business partner never had a hair out of place, like suave, you know, swag. That was his environment. Fighters, that is my environment. You know what I mean? Like, we get down and dirty, disgusting, and like, let's rock and roll. Let's get things done. And I'm not exactly, you know, my girlfriend will tell you, like, I'm not the most fragile person in the world, like giving advice, like, you know.
Or you just tell it how it is.
Yeah, like, dude, what are you doing? Like, what's going on? What is your malfunction? You know, like, and I'm like, oh, and with my voice, it always sounds like I'm angry. You know, like I'm not mad at you. I'm just trying to explain it in a voice and like a version that you can hear me. You know, and especially if I get excited, people are like, oh my god, like. But
I don't know. I disagree. Like I you know, you're a very likable guy. I think you'd be very motivating to have around as part of the team. Did you make Demi cry? Did she cry?
She did cry once, bro. She did, dude. I was like, oh, man. I remember, dude, yeah. She stood in the middle, like I was in the kitchen. And she just like, right, like, so I'm in the kitchen, and she stops at the dining room and just starts crying. And I'm like, oh. And she goes down to her room, and yeah, I remember. And yeah, like I'm like, oh, this I need to. Yeah, I'm not the right person for this. But my business partner Dan Leith and her were very close. Like they did very well, you know. And I, you know, celebrity, you know, Nick Jonas. Like we worked together. Like Jay Glazer's a good friend of mine. He's like, hey man, I need you to work with this guy Nick Jonas. And I thought he was saying Nick Jobus for the longest time. And a friend of mine was like, I think he said Nick Jonas. And I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure he said Jobus. And we showed up to the hotel, and, you know, She was like, no, that's him. I'm like, Nick Jonas. I'm like, that little guy. He's like, just a little fella, you know, like, he's just little, you know, so, but I was teaching him. He was doing a show called Kingdom, and we were doing something. We do some like pad work and stuff like that. You know, like I'm working with. You know, I just got done working with Marines, working with professional fighters and stuff like that. And me and him were doing pad work. And I'm like, all right, 30 seconds, you got it. And he would just stop. And I'd be like, here you go. He take his gloves off. He grab some water. Put them on. And I'm like, I don't know what's going on here. This is so foreign to me, man. You know, it's so crazy. And it's funny because I got along really well with his security team. His one of his head guys was from the SAS, right? Now, when you look at like Navy SEALs and you look at like recon Marine stuff like that, like we can all brag about stuff. SAS is like that's top quality, you know. I was talking to him and stuff, and he's like, bro, he didn't even talk to me for like the first month. He's like, you're doing way better than most people. And it's funny, like Nick Jonas is like, he's a really shy cat. I didn't expect that. Really nice guy. It's like, dude, he was amazing to work with, but like I said, it was different. You know, like,
You're not in the Marines anymore.
yeah, like, you know, if a Marine did that to me, I'd be like, what are you doing? You know, like, you know, but with him, I'm looking at security like, I can't grab him. Like, what am I supposed to do? Like, I work for him. Okay, all right, man, do you? But yeah, so like,
But I think in those Hollywood circles, there's something quite appealing or attractive about that, like having someone like you around, or I suppose like a Goggins sort of figure.
Yeah.
You know, someone that's a badass.
Well, I say badass, but it's definitely like it's weird because fighters, they like. So have you ever heard of Jelly Roll? Jelly Roll is one of the last guys that I worked with before I was working with Tyson. So he's a huge musician in the United States. And it's funny because he's a huge MMA fan. Like, he loves the UFC. And it's funny because a lot of UFC guys love Jelly Roll. They love the musicians, and they love the actors and actresses and stuff like that.
He's great. By the way, for anyone that doesn't know, country singer, his biggest song is probably the one, I Only Talk to God When I Need a Favor, which is a great song.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Do you know? Okay. Yeah.
Jelly Roll, what were you doing with Jelly Roll? Tell him to cut down on the jelly?
I lived with Jelly Roll.
You lived with him?
Yeah, we were there 6 months. We went on tour together and everything. Yeah, it was crazy, man. It was
He's a big dude.
Yeah, he's a big dude. Yeah.
Were you helping him like lose weight, or?
Yeah, we were there. Yeah, he was doing good. It's a very rough lifestyle. Like, you're going. I mean, we're on. That's where I met my girlfriend. Like it was on a Jelly Roll concert. You know, it was concert to concert to concert to concert, and it's very difficult for him. It's like, you know, you're going from one concert to the next concert, and it's like, okay, well, you're driving 15 hours. Like, when are you going to work out? When are you gonna, like, it's tough, you know. So. It looks like he's actually doing really well right now. Like, not only in terms of not his finance, but his career, he's killing it. But it looks like he's actually losing weight. So I haven't talked to him in a little bit, but he's a great guy. You know, great working with him as well too. But again, different, definitely a different lifestyle.
Yeah, amazing. Who else? Who else you got?
Oh,
who else is in the Rolodex?
No, bro. I mean, if you name a fighter, you know, if you name any fighter, you know, like John Jones, Frankie Edgar, Dustin Poirier, Khabib, like we've worked with all of them, man. You know, team worked with KSI. It was weird, but you know, at the end of the day, you know, I don't think me working with celebrities is anywhere in the future of our careers.
Well, you never know, though.
You never know. Listen,
seems like a nice sedate lifestyle. Very easier money.
Bro, I'm telling you, I think that's my problem. Like, I thrive in chaos. When things are chaotic, I'm like calm as a Cuban cigar. When things are calm, I'm like, I don't know what to do. Like, what's going on here? Like,
bored.
Yeah, I'm not bored, but it's like, you know, like, you're always on edge. Like, something's gonna happen, you know. But no, you know, it's been amazing in this career. You know, the things I've seen and gotten to do, and you know, the people I've gotten to work with. It's really been an amazing journey. Yeah,
and you mentioned doing security for Tommy before. This is Tommy Fury. Were you also working with him in the lead up to that fight with? Is it Jake or Logan?
Jake Paul. Yeah,
Jake.
Yeah, I worked with him. Yeah, he gave me a call, and I was working with Jelly Roll, and we weren't making a whole lot of progress. So Tommy's like, hey, man, do you have anybody that you can send out for me? I was like, dude, I'll do it myself personally. He's like, you serious? I was like, yeah, man. So I flew out to England. It was like that Monday. And flew out that Monday, and then we worked, and he won. Got the.
Yeah, that was a tight fight, though, wasn't it?
I was stressing a little bit on that. I was like, oh.
I mean, what do you do with him? Because he looked like he was an impeccable. He's never been in bad shape. Like from Love Island a few years ago to now, he looks like Joshua, doesn't he?
Yeah, no, I mean he's always in good shape. I will tell you this: Tommy loves to eat. That kid is a connoisseur of food. Like a lot of people watch boxing videos, he watches eating food videos. He'll watch guys, he'll be like, dude, I could do that. I could totally do that. It'll be like a guy eating 20,000 calories and it's insane. And I'm sitting there looking at him like, this scares me as my profession. You watching this scares me. You understand that, right? But he loves food, but when it comes down to it, fight camp, boom, he's very disciplined. Obviously he's a fury, so he knows what he needs to do. He needs to buckle down. Working with him was super easy, and I think it was more just kind of the science. When I went in there, I just did what I needed, like the right stuff, and he dropped weight very quickly. It had nothing to do with lack of discipline or anything like that. I just had to know what to do.
And what about Tyson? You had much to do with him?
Yeah, I mean, I'd hope so. I mean, I worked with him. First time I worked with him was the Wilder 2 fight. Which I think that's probably one of the best fights that he's ever fought. Me and him really, we got really close during that period of time. We clicked very quickly. But we went through that, the Dillian White, and then I went to go, he retired, and I was like, all right, man, I'm going to go work with Jelly, because I promised Tyson I'd work with him over everybody. We made a little pact, and then when he retired, he's like, go ahead, go work with Jelly. And then he got another fight, and he called me, and I was like, I told you, bro. And then he called me back for the Ngannou fight, So I went back and worked with him with Ngannou. And, and then he started working with another nutritionist this last fight, and then, I've been working with Joe, so.
I suppose it's timing for a lot of these things, isn't it?
Yeah, timing's
timing's on or it's not.
Yeah, I think timing. Fit is another one too. You know what I'm saying? If somebody's ready, if you're the right fit at that point in juncture in time, it's not necessarily the smartest person, but the right person. You know what I mean? Like when you have a fight camp, it's the vibes. Like you have somebody that, let's say they cook the best food in the world, but they come in and you're not happy when you're around them. You know what I mean? You have that one person. The food might not be the best, but they're around you, just feel better and stuff like that. It's a lot more to it than just the potatoes and the chicken and the rice. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You referenced your partner Kai, who's here with us in the room. Hey Kai. So how did you guys meet on the Jelly Roll tour?
Oh man, how did we meet?
She's beautiful, by the way. She's beautiful.
I got lucky. I tricked her, to tell you the truth.
Does he make you eat potatoes for breakfast?
No, I actually love his food though.
She loves his food.
I pulled her in with the food. So with that Jelly Roll, so we're at a concert. So we obviously go to a different town every concert. So this is gonna make me look horrible, but I saw she was in the vicinity. It popped up on my Instagram. She just got done with a modeling shoot. She was one of the runway models at a it was what was it called, babe? A fashion week, right? And I saw her. I was like, whoa, And I was like, hey, I DM'd her. I was like, dude, oh my god. I was like, I just left there. I was like, I can't believe I missed you. And she texted me back. She's like, you were here? And I was like, oh my god, yeah, I didn't go there. But I was like, dude, you want to come to a concert tonight? And she was like, oh my gosh, she's like, I wish I could, but I can't. She's like, I'm going home, and I'm leaving tonight. So I'm like, crap. And it was in Kansas City that we were at, and I was like, where do you live? She's like, I live in Iowa. Guess where our next concert was?
Iowa.
Next day it was in Iowa. I was like, no way. Yeah, we met, dude, and that. So we went to. I was like, dude, you're not gonna believe this, but I'm like, do you want to do a concert tomorrow? And she came in Iowa, and then we met, clicked, and here we are.
How long have you been together?
Shoot, it's been it's over a year and a half. Yeah. Time flies.
Cool. How good. And you're both enjoying your time in NZ?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's the best. We love it, yeah. She's always wanted to travel, and since we've been together, she's gotten to see a couple of places. Saudi Arabia, Ireland, England, New Zealand. But,
How good. I've got some quick fire questions here. What do you find most rewarding about your work? What do you reckon?
God. just seeing people, just see them excel. You know, it's great to see somebody put everything that they have into something and see it, you know, get the fruits of their labor. You know what I mean? Like, I love being a part of the journey. I know, you know, I'm a small part of that journey, but it's like I always wanted to be a world champion. I always want to do stuff, and it's like now I get to do that through Joe and Tyson and stuff like that. Instead of being a world champion once, I get to do I was there. You know, these are going to be historical moments.
Yeah, and you don't have to get punched in the face anymore.
I didn't want to say that, but yes, 100%, bro.
Well, no, I get the feeling, because to me that sounds like a nightmare, but I get the feeling you are a person that enjoys that sort of physicality.
Yeah.
Do you miss it?
Oh, 100%, bro. Straight up, dog. I'm not gonna lie. That's you know, that makes sense to me. Everything that makes sense to me. There's other stuff. Like, oh, dude, yeah.
What are your goals for the future, both personally and professionally?
Personally, dude, I want to get one more fight. I was supposed to fight. We were going to do this fight with the Dave Naika that Joe is co-promoting.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I've had him on the podcast. Yeah, he's a good-looking man and a good fighter.
Oh, yeah.
And a good dude.
Dude's a stud, man. Yeah. Absolute stud. Yeah, amazing person. But, yeah, we're going to do the undercard. I told you, I was like, dude, I want to get one more fight in, you know. My knees are jacked up and everything for jumping out of planes for 10 years, but I still box. So we were going to do a boxing match. But, yeah, you know, personally, I want to get one more fight in. I want to get like a boxing match in just for, you know, personal challenge and stuff like that. You know, I'm not planning on to try to do anything with it. Just get in there and throw some punches, get punched a little bit. You know, physically, you know, I think watching Joe become undisputed would be the number one goal in my life right now. You know, that would be it, you know. And I know that you say, personal. That is my personal. That's like I said, he's my best friend. He's like a brother to me, and like his family's my family. So yeah, like I want to see that. You know, see what happens after that. You know, like I'm not actually looking. This is the first time in my life I'm not looking for the next gig.
Yeah. Oh, good. So if or when you two get married, Joe will be the best man.
Well, I don't know about that. So I've been married 3 times. So I don't know if fourth in my future. Lucky number 4, I don't know.
3 times.
Oh, yeah.
Well, wait, good on you for giving it a crack. If at first you don't succeed.
I'm good at it. I'm a professional. I'm a professional at this by now.
What happened with the first 3?
What happened?
Yeah.
Obviously it was not my fault. It couldn't be my fault. It's ever. You know, it had to be them. Yeah, no. But I tell you, like, the one thing in life, when I die, I've had plenty of life in me, you know, between marriages, between combat, military, fighting, traveling. It's been an awesome road.
What are you now, 41?
41, yeah.
41. See, and you're still very young.
I love you.
Very young. Hey, I'm 51. I'm old as shit.
Oh,
41's young. You've still got a lot of life left. You've done so much. Hey, I put on Instagram you were coming over, and there was a bunch of questions. The one from Joseph earlier about the core. And a bunch of others as well. If you could only eat one plate for the rest of your life, what would be on that plate?
Me?
Yeah, or just like, I suppose for anybody in general that has limited food options, but wants to eat healthy or clean or whatever. What would be on that plate?
Wow. Okay, we're talking. I'm gonna because there's a lot of like. It's so funny. When, you know, Joe, since he's been working with me, you know, like people will come up and be like, they'll ask me questions like this, and Joe's be like, wow, there's so many more questions that, like, I would be like, well, what's your goal? Because if your goal is to gain weight, to lose weight, is it to lower blood pressure, increase X, Y, and Z? So a generalized thing, you know, it would be, I guess like a low calorie meal. Like you talk about one food or just like a one meal?
One plate, so I'm guessing a meal on a plate.
That's a tough one. Yeah. Man, and it's funny. It seems like you're like, this is such a super simple, but I wanted like I'm anal about like giving a correct answer on this.
Well, I suppose that's the thing. Like the more knowledge and information you have, the harder a question it is to answer.
Absolutely,
succinctly.
There's so many variables that are in that question.
Okay, we'll skip on that one then. What are a few things that everyone should stop eating immediately?
Vegetable oil would be a big one. It does have a huge effect on your digestive system. Anything fried. If it doesn't grow, don't eat it. Like, I know it sounds so simple, but the so simple things create the biggest benefits and the biggest change. I'll tell people this. Like people are like, I have the simplest, thought process when it comes to nutrition. Give the body what it needs when it needs it. If I ask you what your body's primary source of fuel was, a lot of people think that it's carbohydrates. Your body's primary source of fuel isn't carbohydrates, it's fat. You know what I'm saying? The only time that your body burns carbohydrates as a primary source of fuel is when you're anaerobic, meaning you're working out. If I'm lifting weights or I'm doing sprints. If you're jogging, your body's primary source of fuel is going to be fat. But if I ask somebody how many carbs they had, somebody that's healthy, they'd be able to tell me exactly how many carbs, how many types of carbs, what type of carbs, but after what types of fats, they wouldn't be able to tell me. What types of fats, how much fat, stuff like that. So give the body what it needs when it needs it. Your brain's primary source of fuel is glucose, which is sugar. So you need to fuel the liver, which fuels the brain. So fructose, fruits, vegetables, it grows. That fuels the brain, okay? What's going to fuel the body? You have your proteins. Protein through glyconeogenesis can turn into a carbohydrate, right? Whereas a carbohydrate can't turn into a protein. So eating an excess amount of protein, which has a thermogenic effect, like if I eat 100 calories of protein, 40% of those calories are actually used in breaking the protein down. So a calorie isn't necessarily a calorie because it increases your metabolism just by eating the protein. So meats, vegetables, and if you're not working out, there's no reason to eat rice, potatoes. But if you do work out, eat rice, potatoes, post-workout, and, give the body what it needs when it needs it.
Yeah, right. Well, in George's opinion, what are the superfoods?
Superfoods? For me, things that I include in just about every single meal. I do bone broth would be something that I incorporate just about every single meal. Spinach is a huge one. Spinach or kale is a big one. I add tomatoes a lot. I actually use a lot of pork. I like pork actually more than I like chicken. More nutrient dense, but not as hard to digest as red meat. Avocado is another big one that I like. Those would be, I'd say those. And then obviously, I say obvious, salmon. You gotta throw salmon in it, omega-3s.
Oh, me too. I love my salmon.
Yes.
Love it. Yeah, salmon and broccoli. Are you into broccoli or not so much?
Listen, I'll tell you, I'm the worst nutritionist by practice in the world. I hate vegetables. I hate vegetables, bro. Yeah.
Where are we? Oh, if you could take one supplement for the rest of your life, what would it be?
For performance, for guys, like beta alanine would be one that I would take for performance all the time. In terms of overall health, D3, that is a huge thing that I think a lot of people are lacking, so a D3 supplement, and for performance, like I said, beta alanine, that'll definitely help out with performance, muscular endurance.
Does processed food affect your mental health or gut health?
I think your gut health drastically, yeah. There's been tons and tons of studies. Now, I'm not one of those guys that's like, don't ever eat processed. I'm like, the people that are too far right or too far left on certain things, you know what I'm saying? Like, never eat this and never eat that. No. But, the moderate terminology, too, I think is overused. Like, moderate, what's moderate? If, when you work out, your body becomes very insulin sensitive. Your body needs carbohydrates quick, fast, and in a hurry. Eating candy right after you're done with that workout is going to replenish those muscles faster than just about anything. White bread is probably the best, and that's what the glycemic index is off of that. Is that processed? Absolutely. Is it going to be beneficial to what you need? 100%. So, it's not a never or an always, I say. So, but in the long term, processed food, if that's what your primary source of nutrition is, it's going to have a real big impact on your gut biome. You're not going to be able to digest things very proficiently, and it's going to affect your mental health and everything else.
Yeah. What about Joseph? What's his last meal before a fight and then after a fight?
So that's the whole purpose of Fight Camp is to find out exactly timing. So let's say you're fighting at 7 and we'll have a meal at, let's say, 4 o'clock. When he spars, if we have a meal 3 hours prior and it's like, he felt kind of weak, then we have to go maybe 2 hours. You know what I'm saying? We'll find the perfect timing, stuff like that. So with Joe, we do Greek yogurt, fruit, nuts, and granola, and Manuka honey on the top. And that's his pre-fight snack, pre-sparring, pre-workout. He does that every single workout, before every workout, every single sparring match. And it's usually about 2.5, 3 hours before.
Right, just because it's kind of light.
It's like, yeah, his body works very well. Some people, like with like the dairy and stuff like that, it would affect him. But Joe, he feels light, feels clean, he digests it very well.
What about after those last couple of fights? They've been very good fights. Does he put some bad fuel in the Lamborghini?
Listen, me and her, we get on a plane, we take off literally right after. Like, we have it down to a science in Saudi Arabia where, like, he fights, and usually the fight ends at 2 o'clock in the morning. Our flight's usually around 4 o'clock in the morning. So we freaking go right back to the hotel, get our stuff. So to answer what he has, I'd like to say he eats very clean, but I guarantee you.
Room service.
I guarantee you that dude's no. But
yeah, that's cool. And what's the greatest things you took from being a Marine that's now integrated into your daily life?
Oh, everything. Oh, man, it's affected me so much. I don't know if anything's affected me more than being a Marine. Discipline, drive. Yeah, you know, I think the one thing, you know, you ever heard that saying, you know, there's only 3 things that change the paradigm or thought process of a man. It's the places you see, the books you read, and the people you meet. Being in the Marine Corps, I got to meet so many different types of people. I got to see so many different places, and that opened my mind up to so many different thought processes, which opened me up and helped me learn more professionally and you know, give me a lot, I think, better perspective on things. So I'm always learning, always trying to learn. And, you know, I think that was, you know, something taught to me by the Marine Corps, that you're not the smartest one in the room, so listen up to others.
Well, for a crayon eater, you seem pretty smart. It's been a really enjoyable podcast.
I really appreciate it, man. It's been fun. I really appreciate you having me.
Oh, no, it's cool. I could sit to your yarns all day. It's a fascinating insight. What a life.
Yeah.
What a life it's been.
Yes. Oh, my goodness. Yes, definitely. You can't say it's been a boring life.
Oh, George Lockhart, wonderful to meet you. Thank you so much for everything you've done for Joseph Parker. And most importantly, thanks for coming on my podcast.
Oh, bro. Thank you for having me. Thanks so much for waiting.